life gets ill. Homie, we got bills. More than one kid, a boss we could kill. Aches and pains all hurt, we take pills.
I'm just going to say a quick introduction here. We are Podcats, podcatslg.com if you're looking for us, if you haven't already found us. My name is Brian Bernasconi. I'm a resident here in Los Gatos and a real estate broker at Sereno down the street. Next to me, I've got Catherine Summers, who is the executive director at the Chamber of Commerce here in Los Gatos. And across from me, I've got Kathleen Willey, who is heading up the group called Plant-Based Advocates. You guys are a group here in town. We're going to learn more about it, so I don't want to give too much, but I think that's all I need to, introduce, right?
I think so.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Kathleen, thank you very much for coming in to join us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. We've never met before, so I'm super stoked to meet you. I think that you guys, from what Catherine says, you guys are building a coalition here in town, and you've got momentum. So please, if you don't mind, just telling me what it is that you guys do.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, I started watching a few documentaries probably 7 years ago. Forks Over Knives, Cowspiracy, completely changed the way that I ate, and I felt wonderful. And then I started learning more, just about the environment, the environmental impact on animal agriculture. So the
environmental impact of raising all different kinds of meat.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
We
some people don't know. I know
yeah.
Forks Over Knives, but these are movies or documentaries that are advocating plant-based diets.
Correct. Like Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy. I mean, we forcibly breed, feed, raise, and slaughter 80 billion land animals on this planet every year.
80 billion?
80 billion.
Does that include? That's a staggering number.
Staggering.
Yeah. So the land use, the water use. It's why we're cutting down our rainforests.
Right.
To grow
to graze
soy,
cattle.
Yeah, to graze for the cattle. So it's staggering. So I put a message out on Nextdoor and I said, hey, I just, started eating plant-based, wondering if there's more of you out there. And boom, I got so many responses just on Kennedy Nextdoor that I started a group, a Facebook group called Plant-Based Friends. And then from there, I met some more locals like Lisa Wade and Karen Rubio and Debbie Parsons. And then we started just meeting and started having potlucks with the local community. And then we became a nonprofit last year.
Oh, wow.
Officially became a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So pretty exciting.
Is the Facebook page still active?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we have Plant-Based Friends is kind of my little private group, but then we started a Plant-Based Advocates Facebook group, which we have a broader amount of like different parts of different communities joining.
Okay.
Outside of Los Gatos.
So if people listening want to go and take a look, would they go to Plant-Based Advocates on Facebook or
Yes.
Plant-Based Friends?
They can go to Plant-Based Advocates.
Okay.
And certainly if they know me and they are friends with me on Facebook, they can send me
Okay.
we can invite them because we share a lot of recipes and what we made and how we're making it.
Yeah. Yeah, because
articles.
this, before you came in, Catherine and who was I talking to? Oh, no, I was talking to my son, telling him that you were coming in. Yeah. And I said, well, you can listen to the whole podcast later. And he said, I'm probably not really relevant to me because he's just not got any interest whatsoever in giving up meat. On the other hand, I don't think most of us realize the impact that meat is having on our environment and the world.
It's staggering. And sadly, most people don't realize it because the lobbyists are so powerful. I mean, in Washington.
The meat lobbyists.
Yes. They're there to protect their shareholders.
Yeah.
Not us or the environment.
So I have a question, kind of cutting straight to the chase. When you said that you started feeling better, like what were the noticeable changes if you cut meat out of your diet?
I lost weight. I started placing in like runs that I would do in my age group. I started placing in like second, third. One time I did make first. I started riding my mountain bike up. I could ride my mountain bike up steeper mountains, and I have my mountain bike in the car right now.
Wow.
I just felt better overall. My asthma, my lifelong asthma went away.
Come on.
I had been
Just like completely?
100%. I had been suffering from asthma, allergies, IBS, heartburn, my entire life since I was a young child. For years, went to the doctors. They just prescribed stronger medicine that didn't work. Not once did I ever have a doctor say, it might be something you're eating.
Yeah.
It was mainly dairy because I had stopped. I had always been an animal lover. And when I was a teenager, I started making the connection, but I was still eating fish and chicken sometimes, but I was consuming a lot of dairy. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So it was mainly when I took the dairy out, boom. And then I got my plant-based certification, and that's when I learned the education side of how bad dairy
And other
is for
people
you.
have had the same experience, that their
Absolutely.
bodies and their minds and everything feels so
Just
differently.
recover because there's so much inflammation in animal-based foods.
Mm.
A lot of inflammation that it causes in your body.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was telling my wife earlier that also, I'm going to go in here and there's, I'm kind of on the fence sometimes about this. And one of the challenges is that I perceive it as being difficult to be vegetarian, that you're moving through the world and you're going to people's houses or restaurants or, and meat is just it's a relatively accessible and fairly easy to understand source of nutrients and protein, right?
Right.
I mean,
That's what we think. I mean, right? Because that's what we've been trained to since we were little.
It's what we've been. Yeah.
So you got a certification, you said. What is that?
In plant-based nutrition.
Who's giving this certification?
It was through eCornell. I did it during the pandemic. It's T. Colin Campbell. He wrote the China study, which is an amazing study, a 15-year study in China, where he compared the affluent side of China with the not so affluent and compared their disease rates. And the affluent side had access to a lot of meat and dairy, and the not affluent side did not.
Yeah.
And the difference in cancer rates was staggering. I mean,
Really?
the people with the meat and dairy had much higher rates of cancer and all sorts of diseases. So
Brian,
he wrote the China study, and then he started this whole program, T. Colin Campbell, and you can now get a plant-based certification through T. Colin Campbell.
Wow. And people from all over the world are taking this, or, the country are taking this.
Through eCornell.
eCornell. Huh. So I was going to say, Brian, remember, you just said the word vegetarian, but it's much more like so when you say vegetarian versus vegan, it's vegan. Okay. So
we're talking veganism.
Yes.
Well,
not vegetarianism.
vegetarian still includes dairy.
Yeah.
Which I have come to discover it's one of the worst things that a human can ingest.
Yeah.
So So I often think about, I struggle with the whole meat idea and eating it, but I do sometimes resort to meat because I do feel it's providing me with the protein, or it's an option of what to eat. So when you wake up in the morning, I say this, I really mean this, like, are you thinking like, what the heck am I going to eat today?
Never. I mean, I never, I think for me personally, it was an easier transition because I never really ate a lot of meat. But I did have, used to have eggs and dairy yogurt. So that would be a morning thing. But then I discovered steel cut oats and my fruits and my flax meal and my chia seeds and my medjool dates. And I love it. It's delicious. My cinnamon on top and my fresh fruit. And it's so healthy.
Yeah.
And you have children.
Yes, I have 2 boys, which when we transitioned in our house, they were 8 years old. I wish I would have known when they were babies what I know now, because it would have been a lot easier. So at home, we're all 100% plant-based, but when they go outside of the home, they go to a birthday party or they're going to have cheese pizza or chicken nuggets or whatever. It just, it is
that's what happens.
But they know they're educated on all of this. So when you talk about protein, a really good documentary to watch is The Game Changers. It's about plant-based athletes.
Who? Oh, okay. Plant-based athletes. Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot of athletes that are turning to plant-based diets because their recovery time when they get injured is faster. And it just, dairy especially causes a lot of inflammation.
This was a book or a film?
It's a documentary.
Okay.
James Cameron, the same guy who did Avatar.
Avatar, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so I heard what you have for breakfast, and and listen, I'm just somebody who sits on the sidelines, sort of making comments. Although you know that I don't eat a lot of sugar,
I know,
right? And I don't drink alcohol, and so what you just listed for breakfast sounded kind of a little sugar heavy to me, right? Oats have sugar, and the fruit has sugar, and it didn't sound like you're getting any kind of protein in that. But my question is not about what you eat for breakfast.
Okay.
My question is sugar part of your conversation at all?
Yeah, I don't eat. I eat very little refined sugar, but the still cut oats is just the organic, natural still cut oats, and I'm getting the sweetness from like the fresh or frozen blueberries. Yeah. And the medjool dates. It's all natural sugars. I really don't eat refined sugar except for right now since it's Christmas. And
of course,
there's a lot of cookies.
We are all human, by the way. Yeah. Okay. But but mostly your conversation is just about plant-based diet, and because what I find is I find a lot of people who are doing things like this, they're telling me about their plant-based diet and down in several IPAs and having a piece of cake, and I think, well, if you're really talking about inflammation, if you're really talking about health, and you're only going to tell me that you're plant-based, but you're going to be, drowning yourself in alcohol and cake and ice cream. Oh,
Why are you
looking
at me?
Oh, I need someone to look at. Oh, no, that has, even though
drowning myself in sugar-based coffee and then wine.
I think that's a lot of us, right? These are the things that are convenient and easy to grab. Right. This is what the food industry puts in front of us. Right. This is what we see on TV, right? Like that Burger King commercial or whatever. It's just like, you're right, but that's what we see.
So, all right, I'm going to ask another question here because it does. When you made these decisions, like life changes, right? Well, first of all, I want to get back to the fact if you have any vices, but we'll get back to that in a second. And you did say Christmas cookies, so maybe that's it. But did you lose friends? Like when you kind of made these decisions, were you like, or were you already sort of hanging out with the people that were like-minded?
I would say I was already surrounding myself and meeting more people and going to vegan restaurants and, going to different vegan meetup groups. And certainly my family was very accommodating. Like, because I always host Christmas dinner. Yeah. And then, so the past 6 years, it's been all plant-based.
All vegan.
I make a lovely mushroom Wellington, mashed potatoes, Caesar salad, everything. Everything that you like can be altered to take the dairy and the There's plant-based butters now. There's plant-based milks.
Do you really think your friends, Catherine, are gonna like tell you to?
I think if I made kind of drastic changes like that, it's not that drastic. It's not like I'm having a steak every night for dinner or anything, but at all. In fact, I don't eat red meat almost ever. But I do think my friends would maybe look at me and think like, what is this kick that you're on and why, but I think because it's a lifestyle for like, it is really that you looked at it as like, this is a climate, I'm doing this for the climate. I'm doing this for my health, for my kids, for the future.
Health, and I'm an animal lover.
And a human being lover and a planet lover.
Yes.
These are all real things, right?
Mm-hmm. You've met with some cooperation from the town. The town council has supported most of your efforts.
Yes.
And a lot of the restaurants have.
Wait a second. You say that the town council has supported most of her efforts. I don't know what those efforts are.
Okay, so we are officially in the the 2040 general plan under the sustainability section.
Oh,
we have successfully petitioned the town to provide funding and support for us to educate the community on plant-based diets.
Wow.
And what it can do, how we can help our environment by shifting towards plant-based diets.
Building awareness, really.
Yes.
And getting the councils, like the current council and every incoming council, they have to support these efforts because of what this council set as policy.
What were the numbers on the vote for including you in the general plan? Was it tight?
I don't,
I just have a hard time believing that our council was that green and progressive.
Well, we started with the, we've done like spring into green. So we started already speaking at the town council meeting years ago.
Yeah.
Just bringing awareness about animal agriculture and the impact it has on our planet.
And they've been great. I mean, they join the chamber, they come to the networking meetings. And so really it's not force feeding somebody. It's just people will ask because people are curious. And so then you've been able to spread or share your knowledge with others. And I think I think a lot of people have really changed their own diets because of just meeting you and your...
And like Willow Street now, they have vegan cheese. They have a delicious butternut kale pizza with vegan cheese. They have a harvest bowl. So when we first met with them years ago, they had a similar bowl, but they called it the vegan bowl, which I thought that was kind of a mistake because a lot of people were like, no, they just don't like that word.
Yeah.
But they eat vegan food without even realizing it. It's just delicious. It's tahini, it's quinoa, it's kale, it's butternut squash, it's
all kinds of vegetables.
That they're already eating, but they're not realizing it's
just doesn't have that vegan label on it.
Right. So, and that's more appealing for a restaurant to call it something like that. So I just had it the other night. It was delicious.
Huh. That's amazing. I mean, that's amazing that you guys are now sort of part of the town's fabric at an official level.
Yeah, and we're trying to get more organized and talk to more restaurants and have more outreach. And even, now that we're a nonprofit, we can give volunteer hours to kids. And
What's your ultimate goal, would you say, with this organization?
Well, I would love to have every restaurant in town at least offer one plant-based option because so often, when we're going out to dinner, it's just not very convenient to have to go to a restaurant and say, well, instead of this, can I have this? And then my kids are rolling their eyes. It would be really nice just to bring awareness to every restaurant about the impact of animal agriculture and the growing plant-based community here in Los Gatos, and for them to offer, more.
I would imagine that that's hard if you say, okay, holidays, we're going to go up to San Francisco and go out to dinner. Do you have to scour the, how do you find a place that is going to...
Luckily, there's so many more options in other towns other than here. Santa Cruz, San
I got to say, Los Gatos is a little bit of a food desert when it comes to stuff like this.
San Jose. There's actually a lot of vegan restaurants.
Okay.
I don't know why Los Gatos has been so resistant to opening these kinds of restaurants.
There's a great restaurant, Morgan Hill, Craft Roots, and I was there a couple weeks ago, and he was actually talking about, I'd love to come to Los Gatos.
Really?
It's a great restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. It really is interesting that you go to other communities all over the state, and there are these much more interesting options.
Yeah.
In the world, I was in Norway this summer, tons of vegan.
So other people are just a little more progressive,
and they actually say you'll go into a vegan restaurant and they'll be talking about the climate. They'll have lots of pictures of the planet, and it just seems to be more awareness in Europe.
So big question, and Brian really gets mad if I don't ask these questions on the spot.
Perfect.
So,
great. Here we go.
So the other day I was at Safeway, and I was walking out of Safeway, and you were in a pretty heated conversation with the manager at Safeway.
Me?
Yes, it was you, wasn't it?
Really?
I'm sure it was you. And it was talking about meat in their meat department. No, wasn't
that
you.
was not me. I'm sorry. That was not me.
That's
I wouldn't.
So funny.
I wouldn't do that. No.
Okay.
I promise you that was not me. I don't shop at Safeway very often, but
So it was somebody who was upset about something in their meat department, and I was sure that is so okay.
Did you speak to that person and call them Kathleen?
No, I walked by because I don't know if I want to get involved in this situation.
With your hand over your
but
face?
I was dying to know. In fact, that was one of the
interesting.
How
No,
I was actually going to call it.
I did actually speak a couple times when Whole Foods had that. They've taken it down, but they used to have that whole, sustainably raised and this very nice rosy picture of the animals. And it turns out their animals are most of them are from factory farms, because 99% of the animals people eat here in the United States are factory farms. No matter how creative the labeling is, humane, antibiotic free. I mean, 80 billion animals, you cannot monitor
Well, I'll tell
that
you,
industry.
And I feel like the industry has, I don't know if they've purposely caused confusion, but like eggs in particular, right? There's eggs, there's cage-free eggs, there's free-range eggs, there's pasture-raised eggs.
and they're all factory raised.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're getting them from a little farm
Like
up
a local-
the road.
like
It's
a
hard.
local.
It's really hard to know unless you're raising the animal yourself, because even in the slaughterhouses, they're going to the same slaughterhouses, and tags are often switched as the animal reaches the kill floor, because there's more
It's
money in organic, right?
Do you get angry and like really passionate? I mean, obviously you're passionate about it, but how do you temper your anger, like when people just don't listen?
I mean, it's more like just sadness, because you see.
You don't seem like somebody who's going around being angry.
No, I mean,
feel
I'm passionate,
Yeah.
and I could really tell somebody how I feel, but I don't think that's a proper way to go about this, is being angry, because I think the better way is educate, because most people don't know. They don't know how the animals are being treated in factory farms, and that 99% of the animals people eat here in the United States are coming from these filthy, cruel factory farms. They don't know that our rainforests are disappearing because of, our growing population, and they're clearing the rainforest for these animals to graze and to grow soy for the animals to eat. And it's not the vegans that are causing the soy problem. The majority of the soy grown on this planet are fed to animals.
So I know we're running out of time. One other question I had though, so not everybody can just make this change overnight. What are, like, if you were to give the baby steps, how do you start in a better direction? I mean, how can,
Well, I think a good place to start is plant-based milk. I mean, there's so much delicious plant-based milk out there, and they'll feel better.
People, somebody wants you.
It's almost like they're listening and they're giving you tidbits of like, say this, say this.
Not turn that off. Sorry.
Plant-based milks are super easy. That's a really change.
Easy swap. Instead of putting the cow's milk in your coffee or your cereal.
I drink Ripple. Do you know Ripple?
Yeah, that's good.
I love Ripple.
And oat milk.
Oat milk is delicious.
Sweet. It's actually
it's got a lot of, and then you got to watch out again, in my opinion, for added sugars.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of these plant-based milks are going to have a lot of added sugars, so you want to look for the ones that are unsweetened.
You do, and I mean, you could even make your own oat milk, and that's a little bit more.
No, I used to make my own. It's time consuming.
It is time consuming.
Yeah.
And then just things like maybe you have some meat slices on your sandwich at lunch. Try just some hummus instead, and some red bell pepper, and it's healthier for you too.
The other way that I've tried to kind of toy around with this is just take a day.
Yeah.
Just like say, okay, Mondays is going to be plant-based day, and you could just start to plan that one day around not having meat that day, and being creative about how you're going to feed yourself
on that one day.
On that one day, right?
The Mondays. Yeah, that was kind of your campaign.
Green Monday. We had Green Monday. Yeah.
So and what was Green Monday?
Well, Green Monday is actually an international organization, and they did pass that initiative also here in Los Gatos. It goes along with just encouraging, local restaurants to serve plant-based meals and community education
every Monday.
Every Monday.
I mean,
and then you could put like a little sticker in the restaurant, like. Yeah. So we did. We tried. We were really gaining a lot of steam before COVID. But then COVID happened. But we got creative. We pivoted and we served a lot of plant-based meals to the unhoused people in Santa Clara. We were also bringing plant-based meals to the fire stations. And
Yeah, we're doing a lot. Really doing a lot.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the meat that's not meat, like bacon or?
You know what? I personally, I don't eat it, but I think it's a great transition food.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have all the cholesterol. I mean, it's still I wouldn't say it's like super healthy, but it's still healthier than
Right.
meat because you don't have cholesterol, because only animal foods have cholesterol, and it has less saturated fat.
Oh,
for
I
the
didn't
most
really
part.
put that together.
I
That
didn't
only
either.
animal
Yeah.
foods have cholesterol.
Only animal, because
So do you have what-
all humans produce their own cholesterol. I mean, we need it; it's important for our bodies, but we produce all the cholesterol we need, and we don't require any additional intake.
And all
for our
the
diet.
extra is coming from.
All the extra is it's just extra. It's just building up as plaque in your arteries, and it all comes from animal-based
Yikes.
foods.
Okay, that's the best part.
Cholesterol.
To leave this conversation, I'm changing my diet tomorrow.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I mean, I just think that people have
crazy.
unfounded fears, preconceived notions of what it's going to be like. One of my fears is that I'm just always going to be hungry.
No,
I can't stand
I eat
being
more
hungry.
now than I ever have, and I weigh less.
And so if we go to the Facebook page, and I know you had a couple other things that you wanted to point out where people can go to get information, but if we go to the Facebook page, are there recipes available?
Yes,
Like I can go get support right
absolutely.
away.
Yeah, and our website, Plant-Based Advocates, we have recipe on there.
Are you guys plantbasedadvocates.com or .org? Or you don't know? Oh my gosh. Wow. Such a fail. That's okay. We'll figure it out and try and post it on somewhere.
I am not technical, as you can see.
Somebody can figure it out.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
no.
if you're a 501(c), then you're a .org.
Yes, we
Is
must.
my
it
guess.
must be- it
Yeah.
must be
I
.org.
turned my phone off, so I can't even look.
Yeah.
What else you got? You got other resources
Well,
for
we
us.
have some cooking demos coming up through the Los Gatos Library.
Wait a minute. Live cooking demos?
Well, the first one on January 10 at 5:00 is that's through Zoom. So that's another thing we did during the pandemic, is we did do a few cooking demos, and we had a visit to a farm animal sanctuary.
So I want to make sure I got this. The cooking demo is being conducted at the library. Is that what you said?
No, sorry, the Los Gatos Library is putting it on,
Okay, so
but it's
they're producing it.
through Zoom. Yeah.
Where is the actual test kitchen or
It's at
somebody's house?
somebody's house.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's doing a plant-based cooking demo at
Great.
her house. So that's on January 10. And then there's another event February 6 at 4:00, and that'll be in person. And this will be Lauren Ornelas, and she's the president of Vegan Food Justice. It's a nonprofit food empowerment project.
Where is that taking place?
That is physically at the library, February 6th at 4:00.
Okay.
And then on January 26th, I arranged a nutrition talk through Fisher Middle School. It'll be in the multi-purpose room. And that's not specifically all plant-based, but it's child nutrition, and there's going to be 3 guest speakers there. I've also been involved in the wellness meetings at the school to try to get some plant-based foods into the school, and that's happening. I mean, they have soy milk now. Some days they have a chickpea dish. They'll have a veggie stir fry, and then they'll have a chicken stir fry. But the kids have choices. They have vegan chicken nuggets now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they are, and Carrie Billner, she's very motivated to.
Who's Carrie Billner?
She is the childhood nutrition director for Los Gatos Union School District,
Oh.
and she's been great. She's
Okay.
very motivated to make changes, but we're also up against the USDA, which
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Government can't get anything right.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they just can't get anything right. They have their fingers in too many pies, and they're trying to get paid by the wrong people,
I know.
and so.
Yeah.
Okay.
we could have a whole other.
Yes. But I mean,
conversation
fascinating.
about
You
that.
really, I don't think I even appreciated what good work you're doing, and just really,
Thank you.
what's behind it all and how you're driven and it's working.
Well, and from what I can tell, you're taking the appropriate steps to reach the appropriate audience, and not being combative and accusatory or blamatory or like you're doing it in a way that I think seems that people will be able to receive the message because it's being delivered with a good package.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good for you for doing that.
And I promise you, that was not me in Safeway. I may be thinking things like that in my head.
Thinking things like what?
I don't know, whatever that crazy woman in Safeway was saying, but maybe about me.
If one day we find out it was you and you were just denying it, we're no longer friends. We're gonna have to figure out who that was. Because right before we sat down, you said you had to get down to Safeway. I thought, she's got some sort of protest lined up.
Okay, I did talk to them about just some propaganda that was coming over the overhead that I didn't like listening to. But I wasn't heated, but I was maybe that I wasn't.
That might have been
meat.
it, but it wasn't about meat. Okay,
it wasn't about meat. Okay,
it was about signage.
I thought it was me. No, okay, it was.
So
I
now
don't
it turns out it was
hearing that we should all be getting. That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
About
about what
what I was hearing on the overhead. It was propaganda, and I don't have to.
Like
listen
meat
to that.
Propaganda?
No.
Oh, just propaganda.
Big pharma.
Oh,
propaganda.
big pharma. Oh God, please don't even.
So that was a whole. Sorry, that was me.
Well, but this goes back to we were talking about earlier, Catherine. Like everybody sees things completely.
Totally, but it was a totally different topic.
Me,
yes, but
it was something that I'm passionate about also. But
here's another thing and we could go on and on, and we are getting late, but I think that everybody out there who listens to this, so all 6 of you need to realize that your doctor, through whatever healthcare provider you go to, does not necessarily know anything about holistic health.
They don't. They are not trained in nutrition. You ask any doctor, they are not.
Yeah.
And so they don't recommend, they barely recommend even just basics like sleep and exercise, right? Much less veganism or meditation or anything like that. And so I just want everybody to take a step back and realize that these people that you pay a ton of money to don't necessarily know the best way to take care of human beings. They're mechanics who fix major problems, but they're not people who are providing you with the kind of maintenance tools that you need to live a healthy life that feels good from the inside.
Yes.
Right? And this just makes me crazy that everybody just runs off to the doctor and says, "Hey, what pill have you got for me? I'm not feeling right."
Exactly.
Right?
Well,
And
that's the way they're trained, and all due respect to them, but they're just not.
I love doctors.
They're not trained in preventative
not
medicine.
At all. Yeah. Right. And you start asking questions, and often they just it's just not their field. They set broken arms and do surgery. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there's a lot to talk about. This is a great subject, and we really appreciate you coming in and sharing with us. Thank you for doing the work you're doing. And the dates that you just gave us can be found on your website. Is that right?
Yes, on Plant-Based Advocates.
And if it's not there now, it will be soon.
Through the Los Gatos Library. And documentaries, I think, is a great way. Game Changers, Seaspiracy, those are 2
Forks Over Knives.
Forks Over Knives.
Yeah.
What the Health. There's so many now.
Oh, God. Yeah. Michael Pollan.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Like the kind of godfather of this movement. He's written several books, so there's plenty to look at.
Lots of information.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch your path here and see how.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Come together right now. Hit the ground running. Ain't even a discussion. Hold up. Come together right now.